Hey guys, what's going on? Deuce here. Now, I know it's been a while since I've done my last game review, which is not my proudest accomplishment, so I'm just going to jump right into it. So if you would join me into Death's Door. Okay, first things first. Now, Death's Door is an action-adventure game developed by Acid Nerve and published by Devolver Digital, which is actually a sequel to 2015's Titan Souls. But you don't need to worry about that. Reason being is because they tell two separate stories. It's kind of like the games within the Final Fantasy series. You don't need to know the previous story in order to enjoy this one. But what makes this game interesting is that you actually get to play as the Grim Reaper himself. No, not that one. No. In fact, no, you play as a crow of all things. Which, I guess kind of makes sense, since crows are often associated with the concept of death. I mean, but really, it must have taken a real asshole to just force him to that kind of life. I mean, could you imagine the crows just enjoying themselves flying around minding their own business, and here we are losing our minds as if to commit mass murder? It's not fair. Wait, where was I going with this? Anyway, the concept of death is a constant message played throughout the game, often addressing the universal fear of dying as well as doing everything within your power to extend what life you have left. And we all know that death is a natural part of life, so we gotta accept it one way or another. But when you go against that natural cycle, then that's what causes chaos, stagnation, and even the prevention of rebirth. Sounds familiar? Now, if you said Dark Souls, then you need to be in this video with me because I was thinking the exact same thing. But that's as Dark Souls as it gets, because this is by far one of the easiest games you ever play, let me tell you. It's only difficult in the beginning when you're figuring out the mechanics, and the souls you collect to upgrade isn't lost when you die, so that's an added bonus. So, ironically, death in this game is pretty much a slap in the wrist. But when you do collect enough souls to upgrade your abilities, it does make the combat all the more satisfying. But I gotta say, as a Grim Reaper, I kinda thought I'd be cutting down my enemies with a cool ass scythe, like the Angel of Death I was trained to be. But no, I'm using a sword, giving everyone a concussion with my giant Thor hammer. I got a pair of daggers in my back pocket like I'm a flippin' assassin. I even have an umbrella to use in case of a rainy day. I don't know what I had to do to get this job, but the moment they gave me an umbrella to swing around, I really started questioning my life choices. But speaking of the weapons, the combat is pretty straightforward, can't complain. You see, you have a light attack and a heavy attack that you can charge for added damage. Plus, you can even gain a few abilities along the way, such as a bow and arrow, conjuring up fireballs, producing bombs, and even get a sexy hook shot that helps you cross large gaps. Death's Door is often compared to Dark Souls because of its darker story elements and leveling up system. But the game that really comes to mind will probably be the Legend of Zelda series. Especially A Link Between Worlds. Probably because of its top-down perspective and the simple combat system. Now that I think about it, the main character also uses a bow and arrow, bombs, and a hookshot just like the Green Hero. The only difference between the two is that Link doesn't toss fireballs. Oh, wait a minute. Jeez. This is like the second game I played that's heavily inspired by the Zelda series. What the fudge? Being the silent, stoic protagonist is nothing new to players, but what keeps them engaged is the world around them. The environment, the story, the music, the gameplay, and the characters. So what the main character lacks in personality is more than made up in the kooky characters you meet along the way, such as an octopus impersonating a sailor who runs a restaurant, selling seafood, a traveling musician who writes songs of your adventures, and even a soldier who is cursed with a pot for a head, calling him Pothead. I thought that was pretty funny. And there are more characters like this throughout the game. And despite the world's chaotic state and endless amount of monsters around every corner, they all try to live life the best way they can. But the ones that leave the biggest impression are the boss fights. And what I mean by this is that they seem more than just a name to cross off the hit list. No, as you progress through their territories, you get each of their own backstories and come to learn and understand why they did what they did in their pursuit of immortality. At the end of the day, you're on a mission to take these guys out to save the world, but you'll find yourself shedding a tear for them as you land the final blow, because they were dealt a pretty bad hand and tried their best to make do with what they had. And without spoiling anything, There's an interesting connection between Pothead and the Urn Witch, who happens to be the first major boss of the game. Lastly, I don't usually talk about the music because I'm not much of a critic when it comes to that, but this game's music composition is done so well, playing soft, somber notes that drips with sadness. And though the environments are diverse, they all share that despairing sense of hopelessness, with the music further accentuating that feeling of dread. The only time it really picks up in dynamic is during the boss fights, which makes sense because they're major points in the game. But throughout the journey, you'll be listening to calm, gloomy melodies. So try not to get depressed. Despite all the games that I played that involve killing or dying, Death's Door is honestly the only game that made me question my own mortality and the very concept of death itself. And I'm pretty sure that was the game developer's overall intentions to make me think in a different way. Or perhaps not. Maybe they just simply want to make a Zelda Souls hybrid. Who knows? Now, usually I would suggest some improvements for the game, but surprisingly there are none. It's a pretty comfortable game that tells an interesting concept of good storytelling, compelling characters, simple combat mechanics, and very well-fitted music. I definitely see a bit of replayability with this game, but for me it's a one and done. So I give Death's Door a 9 out of 10. Definitely suggested for people who enjoy the Zelda-esque gameplay and is trying to maybe get into Dark Souls. This would definitely be beginner friendly for you. And maybe if you just have $20 to spend, I highly suggest it. Like I said earlier, it's been a while since I actually did my last game review, about like a month ago. So I want to take the opportunity to say that I'll be uploading more game reviews on a much more consistent basis. Now, game reviews do take a little time to complete, so in the meantime, I'll be uploading more gameplay videos at least once or twice a week. And I just want to get it off my chest because it has actually bothered me that I haven't been staying up on that. But I just wanted to give you guys a heads up. Anyway, I thank you guys so much for watching. Stay healthy, be safe out there. Have a wonderful evening, and I'm so glad to see you guys in 2022. Alright, catch you guys in the next video. Deuces.